Hello students, how are you? I hope you're doing well and your preparations are going really well. Students, welcome to the Prashant Chaturvedi online classes. In this physics class, we are going to do the numericals on atomic nucleus. In the first lecture, I have covered the atomic physics. In the second lecture, I have covered the nucleus, that is the nuclear physics. Now students, based on the atomic and nuclear physics, we are going to solve some numericals, and I hope that you have already written all the formulae uh, as I tell you uh, right before solving the numericals. So students, without any further ado, let us start solving the numericals based on atomic and nuclear physics. The very first numerical is, for a radioactive material, half-life is 10 minutes. For a radioactive material, half-life is 10 minutes. If initially there are 600 nuclei, the time taken in minutes for the disintegration of 450 nuclei is, you have to calculate that how much time it will take to disintegrate 450 nuclei. Initially it is given that the original concentration of the nuclei is equal to 600. This is the number of nuclei present initially. Number of nuclei present initially. Students, now you know that applying the formula n by n naught, it is always equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n. This is the formula for the half-life period. Students, how many nuclei remain after time t? Nuclei remained is equal to, originally there are 100 nuclei, out of which 450 nuclei disintegrated. So I can say that there are 150 nuclei which have not been disintegrated till yet. So students, I will say 150 by original concentration is 600. This should be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n. This will become 1 upon 4, 1 upon 2 raised to power n. Now students, can I say 1 upon 2 whole square can be written as 1 upon 2 raised to the power n. Comparing both sides, students, I will get n is equal to 2. So n is equal to 2, students. So how much time it will take? It is twice the time for the half-life period. So it will be 20 minutes. 20 minutes. So students, it will take 20 minutes to disintegrate 450 nuclei. So your answer is option number A. Let us solve question number 2. The half-life of a radioactive substance is 30 minutes. The half-life of a radioactive substance is 30 minutes. So the time taken between 40% and 85% decay of the same radioactive substances, students, consider originally there is 40% nuclei which has decayed. So can I say, students, I have to go from 40% to 85% decay. 85% decay. Now students, when this nuclei has decayed from 40% to 85%, can I say one thing, that nuclei remained, how much nuclei remain disintegrated, which has not been disintegrated yet? So can I say when it is 40%, this is undecayed 60%, this is 60% undecayed at this time. And students, when it is 85%, I will say here it is 15% which is undecayed. So in undecayed manner, I have to go from 60% to the 15%. So how many half-lives I have to cover, students? You can check clearly. Then in the first half-life, it will go from 60% to 30%, and now it will again go from 30% to 15%. Now students, this is the first half-life. This is first half-life, and this is the second half-life. This is the second half-life. So students, that is, the value of n should be equal to 2. The value of n should be equal to 2. So how much time it will take? So time taken will be equal to twice the time for the half-life. So it is 2 times the 30 minutes, which will be 60 minutes. So students, it will take 60 minutes to decay that nuclei from 40% to 80%. So the right answer is B. I hope so that you have understood this topic. Now students, question number 3 is, radioactive material A has decay constant 8 lambda, and material B, there are two different materials. For the material A, lambda, that is decay constant, it is given that it should be equal to 8 lambda. Students, for material B, lambda is equal to lambda, which is called decay constant. It is given as lambda. Initially they have the same number of nuclei. Students. After what time the ratio of the number of nuclei of material A to that of B, the ratio of the number of nuclei to the A and B, it is in the ratio of 1 by E. I have to calculate the time. So now students, you know that n is always equal to n naught e raised to the power minus lambda t, where lambda is the decay constant. So students, can I say that Na should be equal to n naught e raised to the power minus lambda is given as 8 lambda into t, and for the second material Nb should be equal to n naught e raised to the power minus lambda t, students. Now students, just substituting these values in equation number 1. So what is Na? Na is n naught e raised to the power minus lambda t by n naught e raised to the power minus lambda t. This should be equal to 1 upon e. So n naught cancels out. Students, it will become e raised to the power minus 8 lambda t. This should be equal to e raised to the power minus lambda t into minus 1. So can I say it is e raised to the power minus lambda d minus 1? Students, minus 8 lambda t, this should be equal to minus lambda t minus 1. Minus 8 lambda t plus lambda t should be equal to minus 1. Minus 7 lambda t equal to minus 1. So minus cancels out. If 7 lambda t is equal to 1, can I say students, t should be equal to 1 upon 7 lambda. So your answer is 1 upon 7 lambda. So your option number B is correct. That is, it will take 1 upon 7 time lambda, that is decay constant time, so that the ratio of the number of nuclei of material A and B will become 1 upon E. I hope so students, you got this question. Let us solve question number 4. Solar energy is mainly caused due to, so students, I hope so you know this thing, that solar energy is the result when this hydrogen, that is the deuterium, it keep on changing to the helium nuclei. This is called process of fusion. So in fusion, students, small nuclei, they just come together to form a bigger nucleus, so that their binding energy per nucleon increases. As you know students, if the binding energy per nucleon increases for a particular nucleus, then the stability of that nucleus will increase. So in this process of fusion, students, this proton, they decay during this synthesis to form heavier elements. So your option number C is correct. Your question number 4's answer is C. I hope so you got it. Solar energy is due to the same question. I'm sorry, the same question I have typed 2 times. So solar energy is due to the fusion reaction. Please do remember it. Question number 6 is, students, a certain mass of hydrogen is changed to helium by the process of fusion. As I told you that, consider this is hydrogen. So 1, 2, hydrogen. It will be changed to helium having atomic number 2 and atomic mass 4, and some amount of energy will be released here, students. This energy is called binding energy. This energy is called binding energy. I hope so you remember it. Now the mass defect in fusion reaction is, so students, it is given that the mass defect delta m, this is given as 0.02866 0.02866 u. Students, here u is 931 mega electron volts. So can I say that delta m should be equal to 0.2866 into 931 mega electron volt? So that's your answer. Now students, what is the energy liberated? I have to calculate the energy liberated. Energy liberated is equal to binding energy per nucleon. So students, what is the energy here? 0.2866 into energy I have calculated. I have already multiplied this thing by 931. So per nucleon, that is, I have to, you know that delta EB is always equal to delta M by students A. This is also called as packing fraction. So just multiply it. Not EB, I have to calculate, this is delta M into C square, delta M into C square by A. So students, I need to divide this thing by 4. So if you'll divide it, this will become 2, just a second, 2, 3, approximately 3 again. So if you'll multiply this 233 by 0.2866, so 233 multiplied by 2 is multiplied by approximately 3 is, it is approximately 6.66 mega electron volt. So that's your answer, students. So approximately 6.66 mega electron volt energy will be liberated here. I hope so you got this question. Let us move to the next question. Question number 7 is there, that is, the binding energy of deuteron is 2.2 mega electron volt. Again, students, 1, 2, this is the deuteron. So when it keep on changing, it will form helium nuclei having atomic number 2, 4, and some amount of energy will be released here. And as you know from the previous question, that this energy is binding energy. Now students, can you calculate this binding energy here? You know that binding energy will be equal to binding energy of reactants, binding energy of products. If you want to calculate this binding energy, it should be equal to binding energy of products, because students, energy is released here, so binding energy towards the product side will be more compared to the binding energy on the reactant side. So binding energy of products minus binding energy of reactants, Now students, what is the binding energy of products? Can I say it is the binding energy of product is helium 2, 4, minus binding energy of reactants, that is binding energy of, just a second, binding energy of 2 times the deuterium atom or deuteron. Now students, what is the binding energy of helium? Can I calculate the binding energy? It is already given here, it is 28 mega electron volts, minus 2 times the binding energy of deuteron, which is 2.2 mega electron volt. So students, this will be equal to 28 minus 4.4. If you'll subtract it, it is 23.06 approximately mega electron volt. So that's your answer, students. Your option number C is correct. Let us solve question number 7. The binding energies per nucleon for deuteron and an alpha particle are x1 and x2 respectively. The energy Q released in the reaction is, students, again nucleon for deuteron and an alpha particle. Again you can see this is the third question where this equation has been used, that an alpha particle is generated from the deuterons. So it is 2 4, some amount of energy will be released here. This energy is called as the binding energy. Now students, this binding energy, as you know, should be equal to binding energy of products, minus binding energy of reactants, binding energy of reactants, just say reactants. Now students, what is the binding energy of products? Binding energy of products will be equal to what is the from here you can see that binding energy per nucleon, this is always equal to delta EB, binding energy per nucleon. So what is binding energy from here? It is A into binding energy per nucleon. So binding energy per nucleon will be equal to binding energy. How to calculate binding energy? Just multiply by the mass number. So what is the mass number for the product? It is 4 times the binding energy. So the binding energy is given x2 minus what is the binding energy of reactants, students? It is given as the binding energy per nucleon of reactants is x1. So I have to multiply it by the mass number. The mass number towards the reactant side is 2, but there are two alpha particles, 2 deuterons here. So it will be 2 times x1. It is 4 times x2 minus 4 times x1. If you take this 4 common, and you'll get x2 minus x1. That's your answer. Students, your answer should be B. That is, the binding energy released in this reaction should be equal to 4 times the binding energy per nucleon of x2 minus binding energy per nucleon of alpha particle. Now students, let us solve question number 8. A nucleus ruptures into 2 nuclear parts. Students, there is a nucleus carrying a positive charge. It ruptures, breaks down into 2 fragments. This is the fragment 1 and this is the fragment 2. Consider the velocity of the first fragment is v1 and the velocity of the second fragment is v2. Now students, it is given that which have their velocities ratio equal to 2:1. It is already given that velocities ratio is 2:1. So v1 by v2 or v2 by v1 should be equal to 2:1. Now students, can I say that v1 is equal to 2 times v2, or you can say v1 by v2 should be equal to 2:1. It is given here. From here you can also say that v2 should be equal to v2 by v1, or v2 should be equal to 1/2. Give it equation number 1. Now the question is that what will be the ratio of their nuclear size? Students, R is always equal to R naught a raised to the power 1/3. And as you know that let us applying law of conservation of momentum. Law of conservation of momentum here. Applying the law of conservation of momentum. Students, you know that what is the momentum before collision? Before this rupture, it was at rest. This nucleus was at rest. Consider the mass of this nucleus was capital M. So this should be equal to mass of the first particle into velocity of the first particle plus mass of the second particle into velocity of second particle. So students, I can say that 0 should be equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2, or you can say that m1 v1 this is equal to minus m2 v2. Negative sign is showing us that students, they will move in opposite directions. So students, can I say one thing from here, that is the magnitude of their momentum should be equal. The magnitude of their momentum should be equal. Now students, just using this equation, can I say that m1 by m2 this should be equal to v2 by v1? m1 by m2 should be equal to v2 by v1. Can I say that m1 by m2 should be equal to, as v2 by v1 is 1 by 2, so I will write it as 1 by 2 students, 1 by 2. Now students, using this equation, you know that density is always equal to mass per unit volume. Mass per unit volume. So mass will be equal to density into volume, but density, as you know that both these particles, both these fragments are made up from the parent nuclei is same, students, so density will be same. So I will say that the mass of the first particle by mass of the second particle, this will be proportional to volume, and volume is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube. So it should be proportional to or equal to that of r1 cube by r2 cube. R2 cube. Now m1 by m2 is 1 by 2 students. This should be equal to r1 cube by r2 cube. From here r1 by r2 should be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power 1 by 3. So your answer should be 2 raised to the power 1 by 3. 1 ratio 2 raised to the power 1 by 3. So your option number D is correct. Your option number D is correct. I hope so students, you got the idea how to solve these questions. Please try to solve as many questions as you can. They are very, very important. As you can see from your previous year questions that a lot of questions has been asked from the nuclear physics. So try to focus on numericals as much as you can for the upcoming exam. Question number 9 is there students, the half-life of a radioactive isotope X is 20 years. The half-life of a radioactive isotope X is 20 years. It decay to another element Y which is stable. So this X is changing to Y and this Y is stable. It is given that the T half of X is equal to 20 years. It is 20 years students. The two elements X and Y were found to be in the ratio 1:7 students. That is number of particles initially Y by number of particles in the X, it is given as 7:1. 7:1. Just adding 1 on both sides students, can I say ny by nx plus 1, this should be equal to 7 by 1. So it is ny plus nx whole divided by nx, this should be equal to 7 by 1. Now students, ny plus nx, that is total number of nuclei, that is n naught by n. Can I say n naught by n is 7 students? N naught by n is equal to not 7, just add 1 on both sides, so it will be 8, not 7, it will be 8. 8. Now students, applying the formula n naught by n, this should be equal to n naught by n or sorry, n by n naught, not n naught by n. The formula is like this. Just a second. So students, can I say this will be equal to 8 by 1, and from here you can say that n by n naught is equal to 1 by 8. Also you know that students, n by n naught is always equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n. So 1 upon 2 whole raised to the power n should be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power 2. 1 upon 2 raised to the power 3. For 8 I can write it as 1 upon 2 raised to power 3. Comparing both sides, I'll get n equal to 3. So students, what is the total time? Total time, so half-life is 3. That is, what do you mean by students? N equal to 3. that this has decayed 3 times. So students, I will say this is 3 times the time taken initially, so it will go for 60 years. It will go for 60 years. The age of the rock is estimated to be 60 years. I hope so students, you got this question. Let us solve question number 10. The question number 10 is, a mixture consists of two radioactive materials, A1 and A2, with half-lives of 20 seconds and 10 seconds respectively. The half-life for the A1 and A2 is given. The half-life for A1 is 20 seconds, while the half-life for the A2 second material, it is for 10 seconds. Initially, the mixture has 40 gram of A1 and 160 gram of A2. The amount of the two in the mixture will become equal after what time? So students, that consider that amount of the first particle is Na, that is number of particles, and the B is Nb, Na1 and A2. Just write it like this. Now students, Na, you know that the expression is N is always equal to N naught e raised to the power minus lambda t. So students, can I say here that it should be equal to, for Na1 should be equal to, I am writing Na e raised to the power, Na e raised to the power minus lambda. Lambda is students 1 upon the time, so it is 1 upon 20 time t1, like this. And what is Na2 students? It should be equal to Na e raised to the power, Na e raised to the power minus 1 by, now the time is 10t. Now students, just substituting these values, can I say that they just put them equal? So I will say Na e, that is, can I put 1 upon 2 here? Can I put 1 by 2 here? So it is 1 by 2 raised to the power, 1 by 2 raised to the power t by 20 minus t by 20, or 1 t by 20. This should be equal to N A N B not A e raised to the power minus t by 10. Now students, Na is given by, can I say that Na is how much? It is 40 gram initially. So 40 divided by 2 raised to the power t by 20. This should be equal to, it is 160 gram. E raised to the power, or 2 raised to the power, just a second students, 2 raised to the power minus 1 by 10, that this will become t by 10. So this is 4 students. Just cross multiply, so 2 raised to power t by 10, this should be equal to 2 raised to power 2 into 2 raised to the power t by 20. Students, can I say that on comparing both sides, t by 20, t by 10 should be equal to 2 plus t by 20. Now students, just compare both sides from here. So it is t by 10 should be equal to 40 plus t by 20. Now this is 2. So 2t should be equal to 40 plus t, or 2t minus t should be equal to 40. From here you can see that t equal to 40 seconds. From here t equal to 40 seconds. So students, after 40 seconds, their amount will be same. The amount will be same. Now students, next question number is there. The half-life of a radioactive nucleus is 50 days. The time interval T2 minus T1 between the time T2 when 2/3 of it has decayed, and the time T1 when 1 upon 3rd of it had decayed. Students, what is T2? T2 when it is 2/3 of it has decayed, and T1 is the time when 1/3 of it had decayed. So please, first of all, try to formulate your answer. You know that n by n naught, it is always equal to, you know this formula now, what, 1 upon 2 raised to the power number of half lives. So students, can I say that 1 upon 2 raised to the power t by t half? This is how you'll write it. Now students, for the first, it is given as 1 upon 3. So can I say that 1 upon 3 is equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power t by t half? And for the second equation, this is first. For the second equation, it is given that 2 by 3 should be equal to 1 upon 2 t raised to the power t half. T half. Students, from here, if I substitute these values, this will become 1 upon 2 raised to the power t by t half. So consider, students, t2 time is this whole divided by 50, because it's 50 days, lambda. Now students, for this I will write 1 upon 2 t1 raised t1 by 50. Let us divide equation number 1 and 2, students. So you'll get 1 upon 3 whole divided by 2 by 3. This will be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power t2 by 50 whole divided by 1 upon 2 t1 by 50. So students, this will cancel out. So you'll get 1 upon 2 equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power t2 by 50 minus t1 by 50. Now students, so can I compare both sides? I'll say 1 is equal to t2 minus t1 by 50. So 50 is equal to t2 minus t1. So the time difference is 50, students. It will take 50 days. I hope so. You got this question also. Students, let us try to solve question number 12. The 12th question is that the half-life of radium is 1600 years. The fraction of sample of radium that would remain after 6400 years is, students, what is n here? It is 6400 by 1600. Very simple. So can I say n is equal to 4? If I use directly the formula that n by n naught is always equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n, so just substitute n by n naught. This should be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power 4. This is 1 upon 16, students. So n by n naught should be equal to 1 upon 16. So your answer is 1 upon 16. Your option is D. I hope so, students, you got this question. Question number 13 is there. The half-life of radium is about 1600 years. Of 100 gram of radium existing now, 25 gram will remain unchanged after. Students, there is 100 gram of radium. 100 gram of radium. Now it disintegrates. 75 gram disintegrates. Now students, how much is left? Left is 25 gram. We'll say 25 gram is not disintegrated till yet. So applying the same formula, that is n by n naught, it is always equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n. Initially the sample was 100. Now you have only 25 gram. This should reverse. Just do the reciprocal, students. I'm really sorry. That is 125 by 100. This should be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to power n. So 1 by 4 should be equal to 1 upon 2 raised to power n. 1 upon 2 square, it is also equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n. Comparing both sides, you'll get n equal to 2. Students, so what is the time taken? So time will be 2 times the t half. So it is 2 times 1600. Your answer should be 3200 years. So after 3200 years, you'll have 25 gram of radium which is not yet disintegrated. Question number 14 is there, students. Two spherical nuclei have mass number 216 and 64 with their radii r1 and r2 respectively. So what is the ratio of r1 divided by r2? Students, you know that r is always equal to r naught a raised to the power 1 by 3. R naught a raised to the power 1 by 3. So students, what is r1? It is r naught a, that is 216 raised to power 1 by 3, and r2 is equal to r naught 64 raised to power 1 by 3. So students, what is r1 by r2? It is r naught 216 by 1 by 3 whole divided by r naught 64 by 1 by 3. So they'll cancel out. This is 216 by 64 whole raised to the power 1 by 3. So this is r1 by r2 equal to, students, 216 can be written as 6 cube, 64 can be written as 4 cube whole raised to the power 1 by 3. So r1 by r2 should be equal to 6 by 4 whole raised to the power 3 into 1 by 3. So they'll cancel out. It is 6 by 4, or you can say 3 by 2. So your ratio is 3:2, students. Please do remember this. They have asked to calculate r1 ratio r2, not r2 ratio r1. Otherwise the answer could have been 2:3. But students, the right answer is 3:2 here. Let us solve question number 15. The question number 15 says that the magnetic moment of a revolving electron around the nucleus varies with the principal quantum number n is, students, I have to calculate the magnetic dipole moment of revolving electron. I hope so you know this thing, that mu is always equal to, the dipole moment of a revolving electron is always equal to E by 2m times the angular momentum. And from the angular momentum quantization condition, you know that L is always equal to whole number integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. So students, if I'll substitute this value here, can I say dipole moment will be equal to E by 2m into nh upon 2 pi? Students, mu should be equal to NEH upon 4 pi m, or you'll say mu is proportional to, I have to calculate the proportionality sign, it will be equal to n, that is the principal quantum number. So your option number A is correct, students. That's your answer. Question number 15's answer is A. Students, this is a very simple question. Please answer it. I have given you this question because it was in my PPT. I have discussed the units of the radioactivity units, and with this try to answer. 1 Curie is equal to how much disintegrations per second? 1 Rutherford equal to how much disintegrations per second? And 1 Becquerel is how much disintegrations per second? And what is the relationship between them? What is the relationship between these units? What is the relationship between these units? Try to answer it, students. This is the question for you guys. Next question is there, question number 17. A radioactive substance decays to 1/16th of its initial activity in 40 days. That is, you know that n by n naught. Again, I am applying the same formula, 1/2 raised to the power n. Now students, it is given that n by n naught, it is equal to 1/16. So can I say, students, that 1/16 equal to 1/2 raised to the power n? 1/16 of its initial activity in 40 days. The half-life of the radioactive substance expressed in days should be equal to, students, can I compare it? This will be 1/16. This is 1/2 raised to power n. So I can say 1/2 raised to the power 4. This should be equal to 1/2 raised to the power n. Comparing both sides, n should be equal to 4 students. N should be equal to 4. Now, can I calculate the total half time here? You know that total time period, this is always equal to n times the t half. So I have calculated the t half. So t half will be equal to total time divided by n. So what is the total time, students? It is 40 days divided by 4 and you will get 10 days. So your answer is option number C. Question number 18 is there, students. Half-life of the two radioactive elements A and B are 20 minutes and 40 minutes respectively. So half-life is given for the A. This should be equal to 20 minutes. And half-life for the B, this should be equal to 40 minutes. Initially, the sample have equal number of nuclei. After 80 minutes, the ratio of decayed number of A and B nuclei will be, students, I have 80 minutes. I have to check in 80 minutes. Can you see one thing? For the first element, there will be 4 T half-lives. On the other hand, for this, there will be 2 half-lives when you will reach 80 minutes. So students, what is number of element A decayed here? How much is A decayed? Can I say this is equal to 1 minus, because there are 4 half-lives, so 2 raised to the power 4 time and not. How much is left here? This is, I have calculated how much is decayed here. So it is 1 minus 1 upon 16 time and not, which is 15 by 16 and not. Now students, for this B, can I calculate the how much this B element has decayed yet? So 1 minus how many half-lives were there? There were 2 half-lives. Students, this will be equal to 1 minus 1 by 4 and 4 time n naught. So this is equal to 3 by 4 time n naught. Let me calculate the ratio of these two. I have to calculate the ratio of A to the B. So A was 15 by 16 n naught and B was 3 by 4 n naught. So n naught cancels out. 4 4s are 16, 5. So it is 5 by 4, which is 5 ratio 4. It is very simple, 5 ratio 4. So I hope so, students, you got this question. Your answer is C. Question number 19 is there, students. The binding energy per nucleon for the parent nucleus is E1 and that for the daughter nucleus is E2. Students, consider you have a parent nuclei Z, A, and for the daughter nuclei, when it gets converted to the daughter nuclei, it will be Z and A plus some amount of energy is released here in the form of binding energy, students. So as I told you in my question number 7 also, when I solve this question, that the energy towards the product side is always greater. Product side energy is always greater. This is the energy towards the reactant side. It is E1. The energy towards the product side is E2. So you will say that E2 should be greater than E1 because this energy is released in the binding process, students. So let us solve the last question of our topic. If the half-lives of a radioactive element for alpha and beta decay are, for the alpha as well as beta decay are 4 years and 12 years respectively, the ratio of the initial activity and that after 12 years will be, students, you know that n by n naught, this is always equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power n, but I have to calculate n here, students. This is what my job is. So students, you know that what is the total half-life in the alpha and beta decay? This should be equal to half-life in alpha into beta by half-life in alpha plus beta. Students, what is T alpha? It is 4. What is beta? It is 12 by 4 plus 12. So it is 48 by 16, so when you'll multiply, this will become 3. So students, n will be equal to this is half life, this is t half. T half is 3 students. Now you know that what is n? N is always equal to total time divided by t half. Total time is given students 12 years, and when you'll divide it by 3, you'll get as 4. So how many half lives have passed? 4 half lives have passed. So you'll get n by n naught equal to 1 upon 2 raised to the power 4, that is 1 by 16 students. 1 by 16. So you can say after first it will be 50%, after this will become 25%, after that this will become 25's half is 12.5%, and its half is again 6.25%. So your answer is 6.25%. Or you can divide 1 by 16, you'll get 6.25%. Just multiply it by 100, so you'll get 6.25%. So I hope so you got all the questions here that I have solved for you. This is how you will solve the questions based on the binding energy. Maximum of the questions are from the half-life, so try to solve as many questions from the half-life period as you can. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel, Prashant Chaturvedi. We'll meet you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.